Hi, thank you for clicking on this video. This is a little series of mine that I've been doing for a few months now. If this is your first time clicking on something like this, I would suggest clicking on either episode 1 or on episode 5 in the corner there. Other than that, enjoy. Omega, episode 13, RNR. Recap. Abraham fought his greatest challenge so far, a weaver using the power of a Valorum artifact that corrupted his very being. This weaver's size and strength grew tenfold. In their duel, Abraham pushed himself to his absolute limit, not able to even move his body as his bones and muscles were destroyed. If it wasn't for a stone weave that Onyx had taught him, he would have surely perished. He was able to create an exoskeleton of rock to control himself, and with this suit of armor, he succeeded in defeating this monstrous weaver. But now, Abraham lays upon a mechanical bed, the galaxy continuing on. Opening his eyes, they burned as they touched the light. Looking around, it was just him, alone, surrounded by medical equipment and used tools. He could see his weapon next to him on a table. He noticed that it had changed, in the most subtle of ways, lowering his head to be aligned with the table. His suspicions were confirmed, as the blade had grown thicker. Abraham also felt a twinge in his neck. Lifting back up, he noticed his body bandaged. Still, his skin was bruised black. If he sat completely still, he could feel even the bones in his right arm slowly shifting back in place. Walking in was Leo, who was surprised to see Abraham awake. "Oh, you're up," he smiled. "Yeah, how long was I out?" Abraham asked, watching as Leo sat next to him. Leo's expression went dour. "About a week like last time, but as you can see, you took quite the beating. At least I'm up and breathing, right?" "That you are. But now since you're up, I can do this." Leo touched the hilt of his medal. His other hand glowed a soothing blue. Running his hand over Abraham's chest, Abraham felt a slight pain, followed by a warm, soothing sensation running throughout his body. Looking down, Abraham noticed the bruising had been reduced, but it was still visible. "I remember healing you the first time. Do you remember that?" Leo asked. "Yeah, I scratched my knee on a tree while I was trying to climb," Abraham responded. "And you cried like a fountain. It wasn't that bad." Sure, whatever you say. Believe what you want, Abe, but this old brain remembers everything." Leo grabbed Abraham's arm, healing it also. Abraham felt his bones shifting into place a little faster. Back on that planet, with that little tree in the front yard, we were not beholden to anyone but our neighbors. And ourselves, Leo reminisced. "So, do you think you can walk?" "I mean, we can try." Pulling Abraham to the side, Leo helped him stand. Abraham felt his sore, unused legs. It took him just a minute to find his balance. Slowly, Abraham was able to get dressed as he walked out of the room, down a flight of stairs, and out the building, standing in the hot streets of Rollstone. "So, I know you've been stuck in there for a while. I bet you're hungry. For real food, that is. I know this amazing pastry shop not too far from here. They use beetle milk as one of their main ingredients. Then you could top them with this beetle milk butter that they have." Leo exasperated, continuing on, when a grunt caught their attention. Standing in the street was Gossin. Without a word, he readied his metal knuckles. Leo helped Abraham move to the side, giving him a wink before pulling out his massive weapon, pointing it at Gossin. Abraham watched as a sudden flurry of blows came from both. It looked like a tornado, unable to distinguish a slice from a strike. Just as soon as it began, it stopped, Gossin's fist only inches away from Leo's head, and Leo's weapon moments away from decapitation. Looking at each other, they both started to laugh. "You're slow from old age," Gossin teased, giving him a hug. "And your form is off from not training. Not to mention, you're aging too. I see those gray hairs." Leo grinned. Gossin looked toward Abraham. "So, it seems that your prodigy stands." Onyx told me of what happened. Not bad at all. Thanks, Abraham said. Also, do you guys know where Onyx is? Oh, I know. He went to his favorite diner with Dolo. A last meal, he called it, Leo informed, sheathing his weapon. Good. I need to talk to him immediately. Gaussen started to walk away, but not before telling Abraham one last thing. I hope what I have taught you will help you guide you on your path. With a smile, Gaussen left, pulling out a box from his pocket and walking away. Well, let's go get some pastries, Leo commanded, making sure Abraham still didn't lose his footing. An hour later, and a lot of indecision from Leo, they had a bag full of bread and pastries. On the front of this bag was the name of the company, Beetle Dogs, with a smiling cartoon beetle with a little chef's hat. How are you enjoying that? Leo asked Abraham. He was holding a half-eaten cupcake in the shape of a beetle. Its shell was made of chocolate. Abraham nodded with a mouthful. Well, how about while we eat, we go play rock putt? Abraham cocked his head in confusion. You're going to like it. I used to go there all the time with Gaussen and our squad. Walking through the streets, people moved to and fro. The same man playing music was still there, now playing with another person. Large beetles took up most of the streets, with ESF soldiers on their backs. These beetles held large baskets of minerals, heading toward the shipyard, to be moved all across the galaxy, to power the ESF machine of authority. A few weavers looked at them with spite in their eyes, though, as they passed. So, what do you think of having to work with the ESF so far? Leo questioned. I mean, it's okay. I met some interesting people, and I, get to travel the galaxy a little, Abraham answered. Indeed you do. And what has been your favorite place so far? Leo guided Abraham down a less busy street, where the buildings were not as pristine as the inner city. Abraham closed his eyes. I think it would still have to be home. The moist grass in the morning in the little town. And I miss my two friends. They were great, but you might see Emily one day out in the galaxy. Abraham looked at him, puzzled. What do you mean? Did you really not hear? She has just started flight school, and from the info I've been able to find, she is performing the best out of her entire class. Who knows? Maybe she will even become a ranger in 10 years. Then is Alex all alone back home? Leo stopped in front of a stone wall with a gate sticking out of it. Ah, that's how it seems. Then we need to schedule a mission to go back home. Leo started to laugh until he realized Abraham was being serious. I'll see what I can do, but it's going to take quite a while. In the meantime, why not play some rock putt? Leo pointed in excitement at an old stained sign at the top of a building. Entering the building, it was obvious that it had seen better days, as Leo hid a frown from Abraham. The lights above them flickered, and the floor had an old, moldy carpet. A fat man sat behind a counter, reading a tablet. Next to him were putters and colored stones and a bent wire cage for those who can't stoneweave to use. Walking up, Leo cleared his throat. 2 putters, please. Pulling out 6 credits. The fat man barely looked up from the tablet. It's actually 22. Leo's face stretched into horror. Excuse me? Do you know what you could do with that many credits? You could at least buy 3 raspberry-filled pastries. Uh-huh. Are you going to pay? And matter of fact, I am. Leo paid the amount, taking 2 putters. They moved to the backyard. Leo was saddened by what he saw. Every course was in disarray. Some were even unplayable, as even the stone decorations around them were unrecognizable, gone to erosion and vandalism. It looked a lot better when I was younger. How could they actually leave it like this? Leo grumbled, gripping his bag of pastries. You know what? I think I can make it look better, Abraham said. Grabbing his medal, he tried to piece a statue back together. But Abraham was not in the best of conditions. and he did not know what it originally looked like. Using his metal, he tried to piece the statue back together. But Abraham was still wounded, and he had no idea what it originally looked like. Instead of a pristine statue, he made a blob monster with the legs of a normal person. The weight of Abraham's horrific statue started to lean, causing a domino effect of ruined statues. All that was left was rock and dust. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to happen, Abraham panicked. Leo smiled. It's okay. This was just an old place after all. Crouching down, he grabbed a plaque from the rubble, wiping away the dust. It said, Leo the Sea Lion. He looked toward Abraham, who hung his head low. Oh, my young little Abe, statues and structures fade and break down over time. But like old knowledge, they're either forgotten or repurposed and reused by those who come next. Abraham then noticed something. In the corner of this backyard of ruins, between a fallen pillar, was a dog feeding her pups. He realized that it was the same dog that had stole Onyx's food earlier. Chuckling to himself, Abraham then asked, and what if we don't understand the knowledge and the purpose of something? Stuff like that is repurposed, like I said. It finds new meaning. Leo placed his hand onto Abraham's shoulder. I don't know about you, but I'm not the biggest fan of rock putting. How about we go? Abraham stopped him. Wait, why don't we add our own art to this place? Really? Like what? I have an idea. Abraham grabbed a putter from Leo. Abraham tried to shove it into the ground until he felt his aching body respond. Let me help you. Leo shoved the putter into the ground. Perfect, Abraham smiled. Now, could you possibly grab that head? Abraham pointed to the ruined head of a statue. Leo grabbed the head. Good. Now could you place it on the putter? I don't think that's going to work, Abe, Leo commented. Oh, just try it. Leo moved the stone head onto the small putter for it to only fall off. Abraham and Leo moved the head, trying to precariously balance it. They did it for an hour straight, only for it to fall time and time again. Every time they would pick it up together, sharing the weight. All right, I think we got it this time, Abraham encouraged, tilting the head just slightly. Go a little more left, Leo commanded. Slowly they got it into position, feeling the weight shift as they let go. They celebrated as the head rested upon the putter. We actually did it, Abraham said, doing a little skip. Don't jump, Leo huffed. The both now looked over to the head as it started to shift slowly and settled still, sitting on the putter. All right, let's go before we ruin our achievement, Leo said, slowly backed up until they made their way to the door. Leo gave back the last putter to the employee, who still didn't notice them. As they left, Abraham spoke. Well, I guess you could say we repurposed the old and made it new. Indeed we did. How about we finish these pastries off then? And we go see our friends afterwards? They found a spot to eat, a road that went up a steep hill. While walking up that road, you could, without much effort, jump to the roof of the nearby stone house. Sitting on top of that roof, they watched as the sun disappeared over the mountains. What are you thinking about? Abraham asked Leo, who was deep in thought. Leo took another bite from a larval twist, a type of bread made with ground-up beetle larvae. May I ask you a question, Abraham? A serious question. Yep, what is it? Do you still wish to do this? Abraham looked at him even more puzzled than before. What do you mean? I mean, working for the ESF. I thought it was why you trained me, right? So I could do this. I remember that you said I had no choice. That even if I didn't go, they would force me. Am I not correct on that? Leo looked into the now empty bag. That is true, but... I mean, we can run. You want to run away from the ESF. Don't they control most of the galaxy? Yes, they do. But places exist that they can't reach, Leo corrected. Abraham touched Leo's shoulder. I don't mind working for the ESF, as long as I'm able to help people. Is that so? Yeah, not to mention those I have around me. Even though I just started, I couldn't have gone far. And then there's you. Even if we aren't near each other, I still know you're rooting for me, and that I can always come to you if I have a problem. Leo shook Abraham playfully. Are you trying to make me cry? 'Cause it will work. From the vertical road, they heard someone clearing their throat. Looking over, Oscar, Onyx, and Sophia were standing there. You know, for a cripple, you move pretty far, Oscar teased. And for someone who got stabbed, you move pretty fast, Abraham retorted. Oscar shook his head. For being the Omega, you need to work better on your insults. That was very disappointing and very bad. Abraham looked back at Leo. Do you mind if I go? No, not at all. Go with your friends, Abraham. With a hug, Abraham left with his friends, Onyx informing him that his father had something to show them at the Ola. Making their way down the road, Leo looked at them, remembering his squad and what they went through, those they lost, and where they all ended up. Continuing down the road, Abraham noticed the wounds on those around him. What happened to your hand, Sophia? He asked. Oh, it's nothing. Just a little battle scar of moving everyone to safety. She warily looked at her hands. Abraham saw the bruises that peppered Onyx's skin. And what about you, Onyx? Ah, nothing I can't take. When you have weave sickness, you can do anything, he cheered, lifting his hammer over his shoulder. Oscar noticed Abraham's gaze. Before you ask, my stab wound is healing just fine. Oscar lifted his shirt to show his side patched up. Is everything else okay, though? Abraham worried. Yeah, the doctor said the great grumpy Ishan didn't hit anything vital. Oscar looked at them all. You know, if we take the parts of us that aren't broken, I think we can make a whole person. Sophia shook her head in disgust of the image. Really? Yeah, I mean, we take the arms of Onyx, your legs, and I guess Abraham's torso, and my head, of course. Onyx laughed. Her legs couldn't hold up my arms. They would, Sophia snapped. As it continued to bicker, they finally made it to the Ola, where Gaussen and Pumice inspected their ship. He still keeps this thing? Gaussen grumbled to himself. Turning around, he saw Omega Squad. Oh, there you guys are. Before you set off again, we wanted to give you something. Pumice pulled out a box, the same box that those delicious beetle milk cookies sat in. Here, Pumice said, lifting it towards the four of them. Omega Squad looked at each other, then back at the box. Onyx slowly picked it up, sniffing it, but only found the smell of old treats. I don't think it is what we think it is, Onyx informed them, making them all sigh. Opening the box up, though, Onyx's frown quickly turned into a smile. It's something better! He showed them a piece of paper. At the top of it said Beetle Milk Cookie Recipe. Everyone celebrated as Onyx immediately ran into the Ola, recipe in hand, ready to create. Sophia behind him, wanting to see the recipe for herself. I think I speak for Gaussen and I. Thank you, Abraham, and your friends for helping us with everything, Pumice praised. Gaussen also chimed in. And thanks for helping me get on my feet again. I mean, I didn't do too much, but I do have to thank you on your training. It did, I think, save my life. Abraham then looked around. Where's Dolo? Sadly, he's been placed into ESF custody after your little stunt out in the desert. There was a more severe punishment for everyone, but thanks to Leo and his seemingly infinite amount of favors from the ESF, he was able to get you, Onyx, and your friends out scot-free. Even Dolo to an extent. What do you mean? Well, Dolo would have gone to a prison in true ESF territory. And who would have known at that point? Leo, though, argued with the ESF that Dolo showed off that he would be useful on more classified missions. Do you think he'll be okay? I truly do believe so. And seeing how Onyx has handled himself, I have nothing to worry about. Just as he said this, smoke started to float out of the Ola, with Onyx walking out. It says to use a cup of sugar additive, not sodium azide, Sophia reprimanded, holding the recipe. The question we should be asking ourselves is why is it next to the food in the first place? Onyx coughed. That would be my fault, Otis yelled from inside the ship. Of course it would be the bot, she grumbled, going back inside. Will you excuse me, Abraham and Oscar? But I must go speak to Onyx, Gosson said. With a nod they parted ways, Pumice falling behind his father. Well, Abraham, we did good, didn't we? Oscar then grabbed his attention a little more by pointing into his chest. But during our fight with Skarn, your little solo battle with him, that wasn't just out of protecting us, wasn't it? There were vengeance in those eyes of yours. Maybe a little, Abraham squeaked. An awkward silence came over the two. Well, I would just watch out, Abraham. Don't want to end up like our friend Isha now. In other news, though, I've been practicing Mech Battle Smite, and I would like to challenge you to a match. How does that sound? Abraham glared at him. You're on. They ran inside and began what they believed would be the most decisive war of their lives. Little did they know what this path would lead them on. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any comments or criticisms, please tell me down below. And enjoy the singular blooper that I had. Do you still wish to do this dish, Abraham? Wash this dish.